And can you summarize your philosophy in maybe like a sentence or a paragraph?
My philosophy.
Can you summarize your entire philosophy in like a sentence or a paragraph?
All that exists are atoms in the void. Consciousness does not exist. It's a figment of the narratives we spin in our heads. Language is what creates thought. There is no God. We're all going to die. We have to create whatever meaning we want to. Um, and I think that's it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know that sounds kind of pessimistic. Like a lot of people hear that and they think that's just such a dark, pessimistic like vision of the world. But for me, that actually gives me hope. It gives me like if there is no meaning except the meaning that I'm creating, then that just
Yeah.
gives me all the more reason um, to focus on making this life the best I can. If there is no heaven, if there's no afterlife, if when I die, like my consciousness gets erased forever, then I have to focus on living my life to its fullest. So I need to focus
Definitely.
on making myself happy today. I can't put off my happiness 10 years 10 years down the road when I finally get a good job, where I finally make more money. I have to work on finding happiness like right here, like right now, today. Because otherwise, I'm going to wake up when I'm like 50 years old and I'm going to realize that I've wasted my life and I spent my whole life like working and, slaving away, like, not even being happy in the whole process. And like, for what? Like, why did I go through all that school, go through all that work? Like, was it be happy or was it, for some
Yeah.
other reason? So it's just, for me, it's all about like getting priorities in my values and like realizing that like I need to value, find a balance between like planning for the future and living in my existence today. I think that's for me, it would sum it up.
That's awesome. That's super awesome. That's what I think too. Like I always think you should live as though you're already an old person looking back on your life. You know?
Yeah.
Like
You
you're already
know,
old looking back in your life and not you like I said, not waking up being, 60 years old thinking, oh shit, like, wait a minute, I really
for sure.
wanted to be this or that, or I really wanted to do this or that, or I really wanted to, and I didn't do any of those things because all I did was be what other people wanted me to be, and how act the way that people wanted me to act, and work in ways that people wanted me to work. And then now look at me, I've or and talking about living in the present too. I think I'm trying to graduate to the aconceptual. So I spent so many years in concepts and theories that, and I'm not in that world anymore. It's been a while. It's been 6 years, for me. Like I'm not in that world anymore. And I'm trying to graduate to the aconceptual, uh, because living in a world of theory and concepts is always living in a world, and always living in a future tense. It seems like, and it's like, man, life is short. Just it really is, uh, especially relatively in the geological time scale, the history of humanity, the geological time scale, all that. Life is short. We're nothing but like Alan Watts said, just a blip of consciousness. Just like a blip. In the bigger scheme. And so, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah, for sure.
How are you going to make yourself happy and make others happy too? Like to say that, how are you going to make yourself happy? Always sounds selfish, but what it's like. But how are you going to make others happy? Like me happy, you happy, all of us happy, so we can all be happy together. And allowing everyone to be ourselves and to be have all of our rights and reasons to think how we want, to act how we want. Uh, what's wrong with that? That's awesome. That should be the highest state of civilization and consciousness. And I guess some are, you know, it's a long, slow road, But I'm wondering, hoping in 1,000 years from now, looking back on this time, people will say, man, look at those people, look at those cave people. They had guns and they would shoot each other for just having different beliefs, and they drove around these metal boxes and ran into each other and killed each other and you know you know drew lines in the sand and said, don't cross that line or I'll kill you, or don't even think a different way than I think, or I'll kill you, literally, like, it's got to be the case that 1,000 years from now, if we are around, that they'll look back and say, man, so we are trying to, people like us are trying to philosophically, psychologically, like bring, get a little closer to raising consciousness and awareness and civilization to levels that it's actually been to in the past with Greece and Rome. And we are, America, the United States is an empire, just the same as Greece and Rome once was. We really are. And, you know, we're either going to crumble or possibly, or we're going to instead go into a higher levels of consciousness. And I think that these revolutions, uh, like the Black Rights Matter and the transgender topics and the, uh, all these different Antifa and all these different like revolutionary um, moves are hopefully going to raise awareness. And so I even think that the whole Trump Jeff Sessions thing, I'm like, I'm kind of like on the fence of fate versus circumstance. It's kind of like convenient to think that there's a meaning to life. Like sometimes I just kind of give up. Sometimes I just kind of, but then again, sometimes maybe there is. If all is one, like if all is one organism and there is no God, because all is God. If this is a pantheistic type universe and we're all in this like one organism, like this all, like the whole universe or multiverses, and us being a part of it is if it's all this one organism, then then maybe there is some sort of meaning, um, but and then maybe there's not.
But in the meantime, we just have to live our lives and try and make ourselves happy and our friends and family and loved ones, and
Yeah.
support our communities, our neighborhoods, our local, organizations. So,
Oh yeah. So I thought about the Trump and Sessions thing. I said, well, and it's so, like, I thought that the race relations and the relations between different cultures and different groups of people was going in a very positive direction because of like the internet and YouTube, and it used to be at one point. I know you have to go, so I'm trying to wrap it up real quick. Uh, but like, there, it seemed like in the 80s, say, there was people who only listened to punk rock, only listened to country music, only listened to rap. And then whenever multimedia became more and more prevalent, um, and I grew up listening to rock, rap, alternative, whatever, like whatever sounded good. Like if the song was good, that's it. That's the only thing that mattered. And now, instead with the internet, people being able to access, any music from around the world in any language and experience all cultures, globalization from the internet was, I think, in like the last 15 years, was going in a more positive direction. And then the Trump and Sessions came, like Sessions wanting to go. It seemed like that whole regime was wanting to set everything back to like the 50s. You know, like literally the 50s.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know, on
it's
all
two
with
steps forward, one step backward. Right now, we're taking a step backwards, but
yeah.
hopefully,
So I was like,
but
what? Why universe? Why is this happening? This Trump and Sessions? And I thought the only thing that it could, I like to turn lemonade out of lemons, and I like to try to always do that. And I said, well, maybe because after this regime, like people will go, you know, twice as far into the direction of higher consciousness.
yeah,
Like you said, one step forward. I mean, one step back, two steps forward. And
yeah. Well, okay, David, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you for having me on.
yeah, I know. Finally, we've been talking about it, and
Yeah, so I'm glad it finally happened. So this has been great. So, uh,
yeah,
all right.
uh,
Well, you
check
take
out.
care, and I'm sure be back on sometime later if you want me to continue the conversation.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
but
We only touched on like a couple of things out of a list, so you know, there's always we've always had great conversations, and
yeah, for sure.
check out check out eternalconversations.com and the Eternal Conversations podcast. And peace, love, and light.
All right. Bye.
All right, peace.